If you please welcome to the Sound Lounge, my friends from the UK, the Struts!
Good morning. How are you guys, all right?
Hello.
Good? So guys, welcome to the Sound Lounge. So good to have you here.
Thank you.
Man, you've had so many great shows in Chicago. Adam, you and Luke, you guys started this thing years and years ago. You guys met and formed some musical connection. How did you guys know that you guys were a match?
You have to be nice. It's Luke's birthday today, so whatever comes out your mouth next has to be special.
I think we just shared the same goal to begin with. You know, we both were in bands. You know, Adam was even still in his sort of like school band at the time, and mine had just broke up 2 weeks prior to that. And you know, Adam's would eventually do the same. And I think we just both shared the same ambition, you know, and wanted to like create music and sort of like carry on going. And then everything else kind of like naturally formed from there, really. But I think in terms of what we had together, I think we both had like a good pop sensibility, you know. We could both appreciate like a well-written song and weren't very kind of like snobbish, you know, to do with music, because that's one of the most common things, you know, being in the world of music, and especially at that age, you know, you meet so many people who think that they know everything about, you know, music and what bands you should listen to, what bands you can't and whatnot, but you know, we're not really that self-conscious. And I think from that, it kind of took its own path.
Was there a particular band that you guys gravitated towards each other that you're like, oh, you like that band too?
We were, well, at the time, Adam started to listen to like Slade when we met. And, you know, I think that was sort of like our first bit of like common ground. And then, you know, T-Rex after that, he was starting to get into, and
Oasis was one.
Oasis, yeah. And yeah, and just kind of like carried on with that, really. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say.
And then the band finally forms, and then you get your first major label deal in the UK on Virgin Records, which had to be pretty exciting because it's such an iconic label, especially in the UK. What was that feeling like when you landed that?
The first label was Future Records, which basically had no future because it got closed down like almost, well, within the year I think we were on it. And that was with a different lineup.
Did you learn something from that experience?
Yeah, just, you know, I think it made me a lot more skeptical. You know, they kind of like did the whole thing of, oh, you know, this is going to be great, and you know, we love you, and I love the look, and I love this, and I love that. And then 6 months later, it was, you know, cut your hair, change your clothes, change your music, and change 2 members of the band. And that's what we did. Well, no, we did have to do that for about, you know, half a year. You know, to the promise of that, you know, some things were going to change, and we would become, as you say, sort of like priority in terms of like their work ethic and workforce. But, you know, surprise, surprise, it didn't happen. But what the good thing is that it didn't happen, because we then sort of like fell back into exactly what it was that we were,
that
which
brought
was
you
really
guys together,
yeah, which was very useful. So,
and then about when was the big Stones gig? And about 2 years ago, you opened up for the Rolling Stones, which is not an easy task that many bands get the opportunity to do. How did you land that gig? And did you realize at the time that that was going to be a show that would change your lives forever?
I think obviously we were very, very excited. I don't think we really knew how big it would be in our career. So, I mean, we got the gig basically because shortly after Jen and Geth joining the band, we then sort of like completed, the first release of the album, and the record label at the time just kind of threw it out the window as sort of like their release, and nothing really happened. But France started to play the music, like Could Have Been Me and Kiss This and stuff like that, and all of a sudden we went over to France and we were playing lots and lots of great shows. And it was the first time where it was like, wow, these people actually really love us and they're excited by us. Very similar to what's happened here, in the US, the last 12 months. And, the Stones were set to come to the Stade de France in Paris, and the support act, who I think was Primal Scream. I can't remember. I don't know exactly who it was, but they had to drop out the last minute. So we're in England, 2 weeks until the album comes out, and nothing was happening, and we had no news, and we were all sat in this sort of upstairs flat of this pub in Scunthorpe where we were due to play that evening. And we were like, God, what are we doing? We were like, what have we done wrong? We've written some fantastic songs. It's all the same music that's on the album now.
Right.
And we were just very perplexed and confused, and we were thinking of these very strange and weird ways in which that we could sort of gain recognition. Should we cover a Justin Bieber song on YouTube? Yeah. Maybe that might gain some traction, or I mean, in times of true madness, you think of mad things. And and then all of a sudden, we get a phone call, and we were then told that we were going to be supporting the Stones, and it was like, oh wow, finally. It's quite weird. It all just came at once, and then we did that show, and yeah, it was fantastic. I don't think any of us really can remember any of it. It was such
a blur,
intense.
Yeah.
It was quite a weird experience. And
but it really did lead to all of this.
Yeah, it did. After that show, shortly after, we released the album, I think a day or so after that gig. And it really kind of put a lot of things in perspective, and we decided to sort of change everything around us, our management and things that we didn't think were working well, and so we started to kind of put the feelers out, and really kind of went into a very sort of dangerous area, stepping out into the world on your own.
You kind of have to take a gamble in order to get a high return.
It was a huge gamble. Yeah. It was a huge gamble, and thankfully we, landing on our feet isn't exactly the right term, because it's even better than that. We landed a management team that, the best of the best, and all of a sudden that got us a fantastic deal with Interscope in the US, and the opposite experiences that we've had from the UK in the US to the US are literally sort of like heaven and hell in a lot of ways.
Right.
Couldn't be any more different. So, the last 12 months being here as a band, and visiting and meeting lovely people like yourself, it's just been this is what we've been working up to for the last 5 years.